What happens when one of SB19's most private members is suddenly linked to one of the most recognizable faces in Filipina fashion? No confirmation, no denial, just silence, and the internet filling the gaps. In the last few weeks, entertainment pages, fan forums, and comment sections have been buzzing with one name connected to Ken Suson, Filipina supermodel Jennica Sanchez. Is this real? Strategic silence? Or just another rumor amplified by fame? Tonight, we break down what's known, what's assumed, and why this moment matters more than fans think. Like, share, and subscribe, because this story is bigger than gossip. This rumor didn't explode because someone confirmed it. It exploded because no one denied it. In today's entertainment ecosystem, that distinction matters. The first sparks didn't come from headlines. They came from blind items circulating in industry-adjacent spaces, followed by quiet chatter among fans who are trained to notice patterns long before media does. No captions, no announcements, just overlaps that felt statistically impossible to ignore. What made this different was the absence of performative behavior. There were no clout-chasing leaks, no staged sightings, no exaggerated fan accounts screaming for attention. Instead, the speculation grew through indirect clues, timing, circles, proximity, the kind that only surfaces when two public figures are deliberately careful. And then came the silence. Ken Suson is not an idol who feeds narratives. His public image has always been built on restraint, disciplined artistry, emotional distance, and a refusal to monetize his private life. When someone like that becomes the subject of a rumor, the internet leans in harder, not louder. Pair that with a name like Jennica Sanchez, a woman who exists comfortably in high-visibility spaces without oversharing, and the intrigue multiplies. This wasn't chaos-driven gossip. It was quiet curiosity escalating into mass attention. The rumor didn't spread through noise. It spread through controlled absence, and that made it impossible to ignore. Jennica Sanchez is not famous in the way the internet usually understands fame, and that's exactly why her name carries weight. She isn't an influencer chasing virality or relevance through constant exposure. She operates in an industry where presence is selective, curated, and expensive. As a Filipina supermodel, her career has been shaped by legitimacy, runway credibility, brand trust, and access to circles that don't rely on noise to stay visible. Fashion at this level isn't about popularity, it's about positioning. And Jennica's positioning places her far from the usual personalities attached to idol rumors. That's why this speculation immediately felt different. Linking Ken Suson to someone like Jennica doesn't trigger tabloid instincts, it triggers analysis. This isn't a fantasy pairing manufactured for clicks. It reads like two individuals from parallel high-pressure industries intersecting quietly, without spectacle. And that changes the conversation. Fans didn't react with chaos because there was nothing chaotic to react to. No scandal, no contradiction, just two reputations that don't need validation from public commentary. In fact, the rumor gained traction precisely because it didn't feel messy. This wasn't a story about romance. It was a story about status alignment. This rumor didn't trend because of scandal. It trended because of stature. And stature doesn't shout. It lets people notice. Among SB19's members, Ken Suson has always existed differently. Not louder, not more visible, just deliberately contained. From the beginning, his public identity has been built around discipline, artistic focus, emotional restraint, and a clear separation between performance and personal life. While idol culture often rewards oversharing, Ken has consistently resisted that pull. He doesn't narrate his offstage moments. He doesn't hint, tease, or weaponize mystery for engagement. In an industry where personal access is currency, Ken's refusal to trade privacy for attention has become part of his reputation. Fans don't know his routines, his preferences, or his inner circle, and that absence is intentional. That's why rumors involving him feel heavier. When an idol who constantly feeds narratives is linked to someone, it feels expected. When someone like Ken is involved, it feels disruptive. Fans aren't reacting because they feel entitled. They're reacting because the silence itself feels unfamiliar. There's also a protective instinct at play. Ken represents focus, control, and long-term vision within SB19. Anything that appears to challenge that image triggers heightened sensitivity, not out of possessiveness, but out of respect for the boundaries he's always maintained. When a loud person is rumored, it blends into the noise. But when a silent person is rumored, every detail echoes louder than intended. Strip away the excitement, and what remains is surprisingly minimal. There are no confirmations, no denials, no statements from Ken Suson, SB19's management, or Jennica Sanchez. No photos, no verified sightings, no documented timelines. What exists instead is a collection of assumptions built from coincidence, interpretation, and online momentum. That distinction matters. In idol culture, the line between information and imagination blurs quickly. Circumstantial buzz, shared spaces, overlapping circles, indirect references often gets elevated to evidence once repetition takes over. But repetition does not equal verification. And silence, while intriguing, is not an admission. Responsible reporting requires restraint, especially when artists are involved. Speculation can damage trust, strain fandoms, and create narratives that outlive the truth, even when the truth was never known to begin with. That's why credible voices hesitate where viral pages rush. The absence of official communication doesn't mean something is being hidden. It often means boundaries are being enforced. Public figures are not obligated to respond to every rumor, and choosing not to engage is sometimes the clearest assertion of control. This moment demands clarity, not escalation. Speculation fills the space where clarity is missing, but silence is not confirmation. And confusing the two is where most narratives go wrong. The reaction inside A10 wasn't explosive. It was fractured. And that fracture is important. On one side were fans who immediately closed ranks, defending Ken's right to privacy with clarity and maturity. For them, the issue wasn't whether the rumor was true, but whether it was anyone's business to demand answers at all. On the other side were fans asking quieter, more complicated questions. Not accusations, concerns. About timing, about impact, about how personal narratives, even unconfirmed ones, intersect with an idol's carefully built momentum. These weren't voices of entitlement. They were voices shaped by years of emotional investment. What stood out was what didn't happen. There was no mass outrage, no coordinated backlash, no attempt to pressure statements out of silence. Instead, there was restraint, a sign of a fandom that has grown alongside the artist, not behind him. Modern fandoms are evolving. They are less interested in ownership and more invested in longevity. Fans now understand that supporting an artist doesn't mean consuming every aspect of their life. It means respecting the boundaries that keep them grounded. This reaction wasn't driven by jealousy. It was driven by care, protection mixed with love, concern mixed with respect. And that balance says more about 18 than any rumor ever could. Dating rumors have always existed, but they land differently now. Heavier, sharper, more personal. The reason lies in how fandom operates in the streaming era. Idols today are not distant figures on magazine covers. They are present, daily, emotionally accessible, speaking directly to fans through screens. This creates a paradox. Idols feel close, but remain personally distant. Fans hear their thoughts, witness their struggles, celebrate their wins, yet know almost nothing about their private lives. That emotional proximity builds powerful parasocial bonds where support feels reciprocal even when it isn't personal. So when a dating rumor surfaces, it disrupts that emotional equilibrium. Not because fans feel betrayed, but because the narrative they've emotionally synchronized with suddenly shifts without explanation. Even unconfirmed rumors can feel intrusive, like someone else rewriting a story fans thought they understood. This dynamic is intensified in Asian idol culture, where image, discipline, and long-term branding are central to an artist's identity. In contrast, Western celebrities often integrate relationships into their public narratives. The expectations are fundamentally different. That's why comparisons fail, and why reactions are stronger. The closer fans feel, the harder rumors land. Not because of obsession, but because emotional investment, once built, reacts instinctively to uncertainty. In an era where every rumor is expected to be addressed immediately, silence has become a misunderstood weapon. Many mistake it for avoidance. In reality, it is often the most calculated response available. By refusing to confirm or deny speculation, public figures deny rumors the oxygen they need to escalate. SB19 understands this better than most. Their rise has never been fueled by reactionary statements or emotional corrections. Instead, their narrative has always been tightly managed, not to deceive, but to protect focus. When noise appears around them, they don't rush to explain. They continue to work. Engaging with a rumor gives it legitimacy. Denying it invites follow-up questions. Confirming it shifts attention away from artistry and into personal territory that rarely benefits long-term careers. Silence, on the other hand, keeps control exactly where it belongs, with the artist. For Ken Suson, silence also functions as boundary setting. It reinforces the separation between the stage and the self. Privacy isn't secrecy, it's self-respect. It signals that not every conversation is open for public participation, and history proves this approach works. Many rumors die not because they're disproven, but because they're ignored long enough to lose relevance. Not every rumor deserves a response. Some fade when ignored. Silence, in this case, isn't weakness, it's discipline. Strip away emotion, and the numbers tell a clear story. There has been no measurable impact on SB19 streams, live performances, brand partnerships, or public engagement. No contracts pulled, no schedules disrupted, no visible hesitation from sponsors or organizers. In practical terms, nothing has shifted. That's because SB19's brand was never built on fantasy. It was built on performance credibility, artistic control, and consistency. Fans don't support them because of imagined availability. They support them because of work ethic and output. That distinction is critical. Rookie idols often face sharper consequences from personal rumors because their identities are still fragile, still being shaped. SB19, by contrast, operates from a position of stability. Their audience has matured alongside them. These fans aren't here for illusions. They're here for longevity. Long-term artists don't derail over unverified speculation. They survive it, outgrow it, and often become stronger because of it. History across music industries proves this repeatedly. Careers collapse when trust, professionalism, or quality disappears, not when rumors circulate without substance. The panic surrounding personal narratives often overestimates their real-world impact. Real careers don't collapse over unconfirmed whispers. They're sustained by work. And SB19's foundation remains exactly where it has always been: solid. If, and only if, the speculation holds any truth, it wouldn't be shocking. It would be logical. Artists at Ken Suson's level rarely build meaningful connections inside the idol bubble. That environment is crowded, performative, and relentlessly public. Privacy doesn't survive there. So many artists naturally gravitate toward people who understand pressure without competing for attention. Someone from a parallel industry, fashion, art, creative business, fits that pattern. Shared discipline, shared scrutiny, shared understanding of how visibility can both elevate and suffocate. These are connections built quietly, not loudly, because loud relationships rarely last under constant observation. Successful people also learn early that not everything needs to be announced. The higher the stakes, the more deliberate the silence. Real connections don't rely on public validation. They survive on alignment, trust, and discretion. That's why, when such relationships exist, they often remain invisible until they no longer need protection. This perspective also forces a necessary shift. Idols are adults. They build careers, make decisions, and grow beyond the versions fans first met. Normalizing that growth isn't a loss, it's a sign of respect. This isn't about intrusion. It's about recognizing that maturity doesn't erase artistry, it strengthens it. Strip the rumor down to its core, and one truth remains. This was never really about dating. It was about boundaries, who gets to define them and who must respect them. In an industry that often blurs the line between access and entitlement, moments like this test how far fandom culture has evolved. Ken Suson's response, or lack of one, reinforces something important. He is an artist first, not a character in a storyline, not a public property. His value doesn't come from mystery, romance, or speculation. It comes from discipline, output, and intent. Fans, too, are evolving. Many now understand that supporting an artist doesn't require knowing everything about them. Growth doesn't weaken connection, it refines it. And privacy, when honored, allows artists to stay grounded long enough to build lasting legacies. Rumors will always cycle through the internet. They rise quickly, burn briefly, and disappear just as fast. What remains is work, albums, performances, impact, the things that cannot be undone by whispers. That's the real perspective this story demands. SB19 isn't built on illusion. It's built on talent, discipline, and trust. If you believe artists deserve privacy, like this video, share your thoughts respectfully. Subscribe for stories that go deeper than headlines.